The following is a presentation about holes. It is about holes. Holes are a natural part of the world around us. From the simple, harmless ones that dot the landscape of our daily lives to the more mysterious varieties that linger in the dark corners of existence, holes are an undeniable feature of our reality. We encounter them all the time, whether in the ground, in the fabric of our clothes, or even in the digital world. Today, we explore the different types of holes that exist in our world and examine how they impact our lives. Let us begin with the most common type, the hole in the ground. These holes can be as small as the pits that form in the earth after a long rain, or as large as craters left behind by meteor strikes. They seem harmless, don't they? At first, they're just depressions in the soil, a slight indentation in the world's surface. But have you ever noticed how these holes seem to grow? Take, for example, a small pothole in the street. Over time, it deepens and widens, almost as if it's reaching for something. The more you ignore it, the more it expands, stretching its mouth open like it's waiting to swallow something, anything. You, a bike, a car. These holes, seemingly innocent, can cause immense damage to your life and property. But that's just the beginning, isn't it? No one ever talks about how holes move, slowly, quietly, without warning. Perhaps you've noticed it. A crack in the pavement one day, a small dent in the earth the next. The ground doesn't just settle, it shifts. And when it does, it changes, growing deeper and more insistent. You can try to fix it, fill it in, cover it up, but the hole always comes back. It's like it's waiting for the right moment to strike, to catch you unaware. But it isn't just a hole, it's a force. And forces don't stop, do they? Next, consider the hole in your clothes. Perhaps you've noticed a small tear in the fabric, a tiny, almost imperceptible hole. At first, it doesn't seem like much. It's just a hole, a natural occurrence, right? But then, over time, you begin to notice more holes appearing in unexpected places. A loose thread here, a tiny rip there. Your socks, once whole, now are full of gaping, frayed holes. It's as if your clothes are trying to break free from your skin. A hole in fabric doesn't stay small forever. It spreads, always a little more than you expected. Maybe it was just one small tear, but now there's a pattern, a system, like a quiet conspiracy working under the surface to weaken you, to make you more vulnerable. And you think it's just wear and tear, don't you? But have you ever wondered, why does the fabric tear in the first place? It's not random. No, nothing is ever truly random. Just like the pothole on the street, these holes are intentional. They are designed to create something unfamiliar, something unsettling. It's as if they're not here to merely wear down the fabric, but to make a statement, one that you cannot ignore, no matter how much you try. Now, let's take a look at holes in our daily objects. The keyhole in your door, the buttonhole in your shirt, the hole where your phone's charging port resides. These small spaces are designed to help us, aren't they? They serve a purpose. A key fits into a keyhole, a charger fits into the charging port. Simple, practical, helpful, or so they seem. But have you noticed that sometimes, when you try to open a door or charge your phone, the hole doesn't behave quite right? The key gets stuck in the keyhole, refusing to turn. The charging cable won't fit into the port. It's frustrating, isn't it? As if something is deliberately obstructing your attempts to get through. You've probably told yourself it's just poor design. But have you ever considered that maybe, just maybe, these holes are actively working against you? It's not just poor design. It's a pattern, isn't it? How often do these problems occur? A door that won't open just when you need it to. A port that seems to resist, pulling back when you push. Maybe, in your mind, these things don't seem like much. But have you ever stopped to wonder why the key is always stuck? Why the port never fits right? These holes know when to challenge you, and they do so with a sense of timing that seems almost too perfect. These holes aren't random. They're waiting to see how long it takes before you snap. Now, think about holes in nature. The burrow of a rabbit, the nest of a bird, the hollow tree where an owl might reside. Holes in the earth, the trees, the very soil beneath your feet. Nature's creations, they seem harmless at first. But do you ever stop to think about the things that could be hiding in these holes? A rabbit's burrow isn't just a place of safety, it's a trap. The creature inside may be innocent, but what else could be lurking in that darkness, waiting for the right moment to emerge? In the quiet of the forest, you can feel the weight of the hidden, the things that are just out of sight. And then there's the hollow tree, the perfect place for an owl to nest, or perhaps something far worse. What if the hole in the tree is not there for the owl, but for something else entirely? Something that you're not meant to know about. something deeper. And if that were true, what does it say about all the other holes you've ignored? Do you ever stop to wonder how many more holes are out there, hiding, waiting for the right moment to pull you in? But it's not just holes in nature that are strange. We also encounter holes in the digital world, the black holes in cyberspace, so to speak. Data gaps, empty voids in the system. These holes are everywhere, filling the spaces between your computer's commands and actions. We call them glitches or errors, but have you ever noticed how some glitches persist? They don't just go away. A website fails to load, a file becomes corrupted, your screen freezes for no apparent reason. It's like the system is trying to hide something from you, and no matter how much you reboot or refresh, the hole remains. These digital holes, they're different, aren't they? They don't just disappear. They linger, quietly lurking, waiting to catch you off guard. They are not just glitches. They are recesses in the fabric of the digital world, silently spreading. The more you try to fill them in, the wider they become. And suddenly, it's not just one file that's corrupted, it's an entire folder. Your screen freezes again. The website fails again. And somewhere, deep in the recess of your computer's memory, you realize something is watching, something is waiting, something is moving. Let's take a brief detour and think about black holes in space. They are, perhaps, the most mysterious and terrifying kind of hole. These cosmic anomalies are known for their ability to pull in everything around them, even light, into their singularity. No escape. Once you enter, there's no returning. But black holes don't just consume things. They breathe. They seem to grow in the dark, out of sight, expanding until they swallow everything around them. Time distorts, reality warps. You can't look at them directly without feeling a sense of unease. They exist out there, just beyond our reach, in the vastness of space, waiting for the perfect moment to. What? You may think black holes are far away, beyond your comprehension. But do you know what they really are? Caverns in the fabric of the universe. Holes in the very structure of existence, ready to pull everything into them. And who knows, maybe there's more to these holes than anyone is willing to admit. The more I think about holes, the more they seem to appear. Everywhere. Even when I don't expect them, there they are. In my thoughts. In my plans. Maybe I'm imagining it, but it feels as though they're closing in, waiting, biding their time. The ground, the walls, the very fabric of space, it's all full of holes, isn't it? And then, there are the holes in your mind. Those dark, fleeting moments when something doesn't quite add up. A forgotten memory. A missing piece of information. A lapse in judgment that feels like it wasn't your fault. It's not your fault, is it? No, the holes are creeping in. The empty spaces between your thoughts. The moments where your consciousness fades. Just for a split second. They are growing. Just like all the other holes. They are not simply physical, they are mental, psychological. And once you fall into them, there's no guarantee you'll ever find your way back. Sometimes, I wonder if these holes have been there all along, waiting. Perhaps they were always part of the plan. Have you noticed how they tend to appear at the most opportune moments? When you're not paying attention. When you think everything is fine, everything is perfectly whole. But they're not. And they never were. Now, think about the holes in your life. Lost opportunities, forgotten promises, relationships that have fractured or crumbled. These holes are harder to see, but they are there, pulling away the threads that keep everything together. The longer you ignore them, the bigger they get. It's funny how holes seem to follow a pattern, isn't it? The more you try to fill them, the deeper they get. They always get deeper. And they always seem to be waiting for you to look away for just a moment, to let your guard down, so they can expand into something far worse. And you can feel it, can't you? The holes are closing in. They're all around you. They've always been around you. They know your name. They know where you live. And they are just waiting for you to get too close, to lean in, to fall in. They want you to fall. They want you to disappear. And you will.
I'm also told the best way to do it is to use the Superman pose. So I'm going to put my right hand through first. Work my way through. Yep, that's very tight.